Hi guys, thank you so much for watching The Royal We. My name is Kevin, and in this video, I want to help deepen your understanding that you are not in love with abusive narcissists. I'm going to say it again. You do not love abusive narcissists. I mean, let's get real, guys. What's there to love about people who lie to you, cheat on you, steal from you, lie about you, cuss you out, criticize you, call you names, leave you, come back to you, over and over and over again? Listen, it's not a loving relationship. You are not in love. But there are some deep emotions that are keeping you attached and connected to this toxic relationship. I'm going to talk to you about a couple of these emotions right here today, so don't go anywhere. Alright guys, before we get into the deep content of this video, I have a couple of really quick announcements for you. First of all, if you have not already, find me on Instagram at Join the Royal We. Instagram is a great community. I'm so excited that I get to see a lot of you guys there. I love the interaction that we have, all the high fives, boom. Let's keep those high fives going. I want to continue to do little 1-minute videos on Instagram just to keep that going, nice and motivating for you guys. In addition to that, I want to announce right now that my course is available. The very first Royal We course. The course is outlined as a counseling session. You can find out more about the course and if it's going to be something that's beneficial for you, which I believe it will. Find out more about that in the description below. Now, guys, let's go ahead and get into the deep content of this subject matter. As I said earlier, I want to help you to understand and realize that you are not in love with abusive narcissists. There's nothing to love about an abusive narcissist in your life. There's nothing to love about the toxicity. As I said earlier, there's nothing to love about being used and abused and cheated on and lied to and lied about and called names and cussed out and criticized and isolated and tormented and bullied. There's nothing to love about this whatsoever. It's not love. And typically when you're involved in this relationship and you're experiencing these things, you keep going into it and you keep going back for more and more. And oftentimes you find yourself feeling disgusted with yourself. You feel sick to your stomach, right? Because you're involved in these things that you know you shouldn't be involved with. And you're tense in the presence of the abusive narcissist all the time. You just feel tension and you feel awkward and you feel like you shouldn't be there and it's just disgusting. It's a horrible experience, and then you leave and you feel disgusted. Well, guys, is this what love feels like? No, obviously not. This is not love. This is not feelings that you would associate with love. Okay? Even the most complex love does not feel and leave you disgusted and feeling sick. So it's not love. But there are emotions that I want to talk to you about in this video that do leave you feeling this way. Do you know what those are? The emotions are guilt and shame. And I want to challenge you to understand that some of the emotions that are keeping you stuck in this relationship have more to do with guilt and shame than they do with love. That's for sure. And when guilt and shame in your life goes unchecked, it can cause you to do some pretty crazy things, guys. Okay, so that's why it's important to make this video. We're going to talk about it. The first thing I want to do is define guilt and shame so we understand what we're talking about. And then later in this video, I'm going to talk to you about how you typically deal with guilt and shame in your life. And depending on where you are in dealing with guilt and shame in your life, that's going to say a lot about where you are right now in relationship to your narcissistic abuse that you're experiencing. Okay, so let's go ahead and first define guilt. Guilt, looking it up on Google here. Guilt is a cognitive or an emotional experience that occurs when a person believes or realizes, accurately or not, that he or she has compromised his or her own standards of conduct. I'm going to stop right there, guys. According to the definition of guilt, guilt has been tangled, if you will, in the relationship from the get-go. From the moment you started a relationship with an abusive narcissist, guilt has already been woven in. Why do I say that? Well, because the definition of guilt says right here that there's been a compromise of your own standards of conduct. Well, in order to be even in the presence of narcissists who are abusive, typically you have had to compromise your own standards of conduct. I mean, let's face it, guys, if you're in a dating relationship, chances are you got involved with an abusive narcissist, you started sleeping together or got sexually active within a month, 2 months, oftentimes, sometimes I hear within a week, sometimes in extreme cases, the first date. So when we're talking about compromising your own standards, yes. As a matter of fact, an abusive narcissist won't be in your life if you did not compromise your standards, right? It's all about healthy boundaries. If you had the boundaries in place to say, no, I don't know you and I don't do that, that is abusive narcissist deterrent because they're not getting what they want from you. So there's a bit of guilt that is established in the love bombing phase. The love bombing phase is where the guilt gets woven into the relationship. Moving on, I want to talk to you about shame. Shame is the definition here, is a painful social emotion that can be seen as resulting from comparison of the self's actions with the self's standards. So as you can see, shame and guilt are almost identical. They go hand in hand. They are like best friends here. Where there's guilt, there's probably shame. So once again, looking at the definition, there's a compromising or there's a comparison of the self's actions with the self's standards, and there's a mismatch. It causes a cognitive dissonance. You know what you should and shouldn't be doing, but your actions are going through with it anyways. And this describes your relationship with abusive narcissists. You get involved with these people and you are doing things that you know you shouldn't be doing. And it doesn't even have to be in a dating world. It can be in a family situation. You find yourself doing things like maybe getting mad and angry and exploding in anger, and you know that that's not you, but it's being provoked, and you almost have to be this way in order to be around the abusive narcissist, right? This is that compromising of your own standards, and this is what happens when you are around abusive narcissists. Okay, so there's two emotions, and guys, it's important to understand that these emotions, guilt and shame, are very heavy. They are very weighty. They are such burdenous emotions, okay, that we have to face with and have to deal with. There's a lot of talk out there about abusive narcissists being messengers in your life, and I'm not trying to put that understanding down because I think there's a lot to that, but I want to take it a step further. I believe that what's really happening is the messengers are actually inside of you, and they're in the forms of these emotions. I believe that guilt and shame are messengers in your life, trying to protect you. Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't talk to him anymore, don't go over to the house, don't let him in, don't go to the bedroom, stop, now, don't do it. And as we go against our own understanding of what we should and shouldn't be doing, as we go against our own standards, this guilt and this shame starts to take over. And so what happens is then we start to try to remove the guilt and shame from our life. But a lot of times if we don't understand what the guilt and shame is, we try to remove it the wrong way, which keeps us even further trapped. So now let's go ahead and talk about the ways in which you commonly try to get rid of the guilt and the shame from your life. I'm going to go ahead and briefly talk about the 3 ways, and then we'll define and take a closer look at each one. The first way is to pretend that there is no guilt, to pretend that you don't have any guilt and shame in life. The second one that you may typically do is to try to outdo or to try to beat your guilt and shame. Try to do things and outperform so that you can prove that you're better, that you're too good to have guilt and shame, right? So that's an outperformance, trying to beat it. And then the third way in which you can deal with it is to face down your guilt and shame, acknowledge it, and accept any changes in your life that need to be made as a result of the guilt and shame. So now let's go ahead and talk about each one of these and how they work in your life. The first one, pretending that you have no guilt and shame. This is, guys, is a very dangerous one. And in all honesty, pretending you have no guilt and shame in life is actually living the lifestyle of an abusive narcissist. That is the path of abusive narcissists. That's how they live their life. They pretend like they have no guilt and shame. They have turned off, if you will, the mechanism in their mind that allows for guilt and shame. And this is what gives them permission to do whatever they want, say whatever they want to people. They can go from relationship to relationship to relationship, from marriage to marriage to marriage, and never feel like they're doing anything wrong, because they have decided to shut down any feelings of guilt and shame associated with their actions. Very dangerous. Obviously, you do not want to do that because you do not want to live the life and become an abusive narcissist yourself. Okay? The second way in which you commonly deal with guilt and shame is typically what happens. This is where you try to prove that you don't need to feel guilt and shame. You try to beat it. You try to outdo it, right? This comes in the form of you trying to give more and do more. And so oftentimes you throw yourself into the relationship even further compromising yourself. Because you're trying to get rid of the guilt and shame. You're trying to push it out of your life. And so you're doing more and you're giving more. And ultimately, all you're doing is you're just compromising yourself more. And so you're getting even more disgusted and you're getting even more sick. And this one can really just start to get you to sink down in depression and even possibly develop suicidal thoughts and just get really nasty because you can never win when it comes to trying to outdo guilt and shame. You cannot outdo it to the point of trying to push it away, right? This keeps you in that place where you're waiting for the abusive people in your life to tell you that you're okay and you don't have to do so much. That's not going to happen. They're going to keep taking from you, which means you're going to keep compromising your values, all right? The last way in which you can deal with it, which is my favorite way, is to face it. Face the guilt and shame. And facing the guilt and shame has to be you coming to the realization that you messed up. You allowed yourself to get involved with an individual or with people who you had no business being with whatsoever. You have no business being friends with these people. You have no business compromising your standards with these people. You have no business doing the things that you did with these people. None. And so you have to reconcile with yourself, not with the abusive narcissist. You have to come to an understanding with yourself or with people who you are close to and who you love, and you have to face that guilt and shame and find forgiveness and find the truth that you're valuable, that you're too valuable to be involved with that, to be involved with abusive narcissists. You have to come to that realization that you really have no business being with those people at all. You have no business doing that. And it takes a lot of work to face this guilt and shame. It may take talking openly with people. You could talk to me over the phone, maybe talk to a loved one, maybe talk to a spouse if you need to, talk to a family member, talk to friends, talk to people at church, a support group, a prayer group, whatever. But you have to talk about what you're feeling guilt and shame over. The exact nature of the dynamic of the relationship. Maybe you're guilty because you've been exploding in anger yourself. Maybe you feel guilty because you have been super sexually active and compromising your integrity. Maybe these are things that are causing guilt in your life. So you face it down and you deal with it. You find forgiveness and you discover your value, and then you make the appropriate changes in your life with boundaries around you, and you're able to say no more to abusive narcissists because you have the boundaries in place and you say, no, I don't do that. I'm too valuable to be hanging out with that, to be partaking in that. All right? All right, guys. And so I hope that this video has helped you. I know it's a lot of information. It's really deep, but it's beneficial, guys. And I want to let you know that in no way am I trying to victim shame, because I would be shaming myself, guys. What I'm giving you here are powerful healing principles that you can use in your life. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time right here on The Royal We. I hope this video was very helpful for you guys. I want to remind you of all the different ways which you and I can stay in touch and keep in contact. If you haven't already, visit me on Instagram at Join the Royal We on Instagram. You can also find me on Facebook at The Royal We on Facebook. I do have an email address. It's jointheroyalwe@gmail.com. And I still take phone calls. The number is in the description below. You're welcome to contact me. If I do not answer, I will call you back as soon as I possibly can. And guys, the course that I have been working very hard on is finally available. You can find the link to the course in the description below. If you want some deep healing, I encourage you to check that out. Finally, guys, if you have not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscription button right now so you can be kept up to date with new videos and new content on how to heal from narcissistic abuse. Now, I want to draw your attention to the side of the screen. Right over there, guys, if you hit that screen right over there, that's going to take you to the last upload. So if you missed my last video before this one, go ahead and hit that and you can watch my most recent upload before this one. Now, below that upload is going to be a special pick just for you. It's a recommended video just for you. So either way, you can watch the last upload if you missed it, or you can check out a special video that's recommended just for you. Either way, I hope you enjoy. Thank you so much for watching The Royal We. I will see you next time, guys.